Hello and welcome to the Forgeborn Finishing School. Casey, Kid, and Koar here. We'll be analyzing Forgeborn battles to help take your game to the next level. Hey everyone, welcome back. Casey, Kid, and Koar here. We're going to talk about the Set 3 tournaments a little bit here. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to attend the latest one, but Greg, you attended the very first one that was held. How did that go for you? Talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Just some of the card interactions and playing it. I think there are a lot of just really fun mechanics that they have in this set. A lot to do with like increasing attack or checking to see if they have increased attack, which allows for a lot of just different ways of playing on the board. I think there's a little bit more cards related to board control or a little bit more interactive ones. I know we've seen a few, Isolate in set 2 and Ice Storm in set 1. But other than that, there really hasn't been too many. I mean, Oxydon Rager, I think, worries about board state and where things are. But I think there's some pretty fun cards in it. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I was able to make the first one. I was originally planning to make the second one and not the first one, but some events changed here, so I basically flip-flopped those two. So I did record some footage of the tournament, play testing or having fun with it. So I think we have some clips here of just some of the card interactions, some of the cards I thought were fun or things you could do with the cards. So
Yeah, one of them that you wanted to talk about was this here, Immortal Echos, which looks like it is upgrading cards in your discard pile. It's weakening the enemy creatures, and then it's got that Om Nom Nom ability, or Om Nom Nom. Got to say it correctly. So if this destroys it, you get to upgrade another card in your discard pile. Um, Gets a little wild up at cycle 3. If you do destroy a creature with that -8/-8, you get to play a card in your discard pile for free, which seems really cool. Seems like a lot of fun. I would love this card. It does seem like it suffers a little bit from the Necromancer Lyria aspect, where if you draw it on turn 1 of cycle 3, you might only have one option in your discard pile, and it had better be meaning that you had just played a cycle or a level 2 card in cycle 3 already as your first play, right? So there's that potential, but I can obviously see where this could also get off the rails. So I'm excited to see this clip that you've shared with me. I haven't watched it yet, so please talk through it, and here it is.
yeah, here's the Immortal Echo. So going into this game, I kind of chose this pairing because I wanted to play with this card. I thought it would be really fun, so I intentionally made sure I was able to like level it up every time, even if it necessarily wasn't the most advantageous. And so here we are. I'm playing the card, and this is just like almost a perfect scenario for this card because I had it's not only this card that I wanted to play with, it was the Arrogant Maw, which I just did not get a chance to do it with. And so here I have the level 1 Maw in the graveyard, and I have a small board state, but able to push, like really good damage. And so by playing this, I remove his creature, level up the Arrogant Maw twice, and then drop that onto the board, onto the card that increases its attack, which then just basically means like the next creature he plays dies. Essentially, it's a -8/-8 on the next creature played, and so it was just a really fun sequence of events. And I was playing Nick, and we were just rolling at the scenario that just played out right there from the cards. It was really funny. Like, okay, well, guess I'm not playing any creatures at this point.
Yeah, so the next creature he's gonna play is getting -8/-8, and you have two bangers on the board. It looks like 38 damage you're about to push through, which is great. And this is Nick Fletcher, right? The
Yes.
developer for the set. You got to give him a taste of some of his own cards.
And the match really started out funny because it was a mirror match. We both picked the same half decks, and we both
Oh,
picked
yeah, look at the
Korok.
exalts all paired up. Very nice.
Yeah, so we're kind of like mirror matching each other, and it was just it was a lot of fun. The Banshee that's over there, the Forsaken Banshee, I believe is what that was. was one of the reasons why I picked the deck. I mean, on top of the 2 cards I wanted to play, but just the Forsaken Banshee of dropping it in an empty lane, getting it big, and it's like, well, I need to block it, but then I take damage.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice.
So it was really fun. It was awesome playing with Nick, talking to him about the new set, and a lot of the fun things that are in this set. I think the sealed experience was really good. I've only got to play the 3 games with it. I always preferred set 2 sealed over set 1, and I might prefer set 3 sealed over set 2. But I got to get more games under to see. But it was a lot of fun combinations this entire. So they did a really great job of picking decks to put into this tournament, and I imagine they did the same thing with the second set where they had a really good curation. There's a lot of just different combinations and styles you could play.
Yeah, I think I can definitely pick up what you're saying. Set 3 has looked like a lot of fun, and I wasn't able to attend either event, but just, picking up my phone every once in a while, people are playing, like, kind of, they're sharing cards they're playing or sharing things they're doing. You mentioned all the increased attack. Like, I love that. Let's speed up the game, drop some early cycle elbows. It looks like a lot of fun. Talking about some really powerful stuff that came out, though. This is one that absolutely caught my eye, and that's Nova's new ability. I'm calling it the new Army Commander. You also shared me a clip that's showcasing Nova a little bit here. And I've always loved Nova. I've tried to play her a lot. I know you're an Oros person. When it comes to Utera, I always try to work Nova in as much as I can. I loved her set 1 abilities. So we got Bounty here, which was a set 2 ability. It's come back. United is 1. Give a creature +4 attack for each creature you have in play. That's a new one, basically adding the pack Forge Word as a Forgeborn ability. And then this is the one right here, Nova's Evolution. Upgrade a creature in your hand up to 2 times, then play it for free. This is the way you cheat Krogius out or whatever. We don't know Krogius is in this play or in this deck. But one of the comments I heard in chat, and I think I'll give credit to Weekend. Don't quote me if I'm incorrect, but I think he said he dropped a meme that showed, Krogius is on its way out and Cultivating Guardian might be on its way in. I don't know if I believe that, but I can understand Cultivating Guardian looks absolutely amazing. So this is the creature that essentially allows you to upgrade creatures in your hand and then discard it as you level it up 1, 2, and then it gets off the rails at 3 here. Upgrade a creature in your hand on deploy. The first time you upgrade a creature each turn, you just get to play it for free. So you asked me to pull up these 2 cards, talk about them for a minute, and then we're going to play your clip. So I assume we're going to see some stuff go bananas here a little bit.
Yeah, some shenanigans. As you notice, this was the first game of the tournament, and I am playing against Weekend on it. So
that's funny. I didn't. Yep.
And so we get into cycle 4 here, and I've got it in my hand. I was able to level it up once, but I was like, all right, so here's the time. You drop it, play the card, and then you get to upgrade it for the first time. And so we weren't sure if we necessarily played this right at the time, but after speaking with Fletch, it doesn't check to see your first card upgrade until it's in play. So even though I had upgraded that card, it didn't count it because it wasn't in play at the time. So some things you have to keep in mind, though, is like if you have it in play and then you use Nova's Evolution, the card that you upgrade first, so from cycle 1 to cycle 2, is the one you get to play. You won't be able to upgrade it to cycle 3 using that ability. So things like that you have to keep in mind. But so here I upgrade a creature and put it into play, and then we'll follow through with a in this clip. For the second play is another card new to the set, the Archivist, and this one is the one that the guard gives me extra shields. Like, he gives it to yourself, which is another really great card in this set. I think, or a new mechanic, I guess, in the set that we see. And the Archivist, when it deploys, can upgrade a card in your hand. But seeing as I've already used the Cultivating Druid this turn, it doesn't proc. I should say that would have been my first play this turn, and then I upgrade the Reconstruct, which is another fantastic card this set, possibly one of my favorite, which just doubles the creature's attack value. and at
Yeah, and
level
it does
2
it
and
for
level 3 it's free.
yeah, yeah,
so so just so just my first turn, off Forge is evolution into a free upgraded cultivating druid, which then lets me play another free upgraded card. And then my
hmm
normal play allows me to play a creature, which was the archivist or archivist, guard archivist, which then allows me to
yep.
upgrade a card. And then my second play will be then the upgraded reconstruct that I just got. So
So I'm gonna be looking for a deck just like this when set 3 comes out with the Nova with that cultivating guardian. But I want the Tremorsaur and I want Reconstruct. I think Reconstruct and Tremorsaur are gonna be a bananas combo as well. This looked like a lot of fun. You're just pairing Aloyan, pairing Utera, and upgrading through the roof. Get to cycle 3, watch out.
I, I,
Very
I
cool.
mean, I mean, pairing this Nova with the cultivating druid into a deck that has into a set one deck with a Betrayer Krogius.
Yeah, well, not everyone's got Betrayer Krogius kicking around, but I see what you're saying. There's a couple people that have them in a closet, I think, out there that haven't found the right exact place to use them, and that time might be coming. You're saying.
Yeah, I think that would be a really nice combo. So
All right, stock's going up. You heard it here. Betrayer Krogius. All right, so this is also a card. As soon as I got on TTS Mod, I was looking through the cards. The Nova ability caught my eye. A couple of Loyan cards caught my eye. This card really caught my eye because I love Vine Lash, and this does a similar thing. Um, and I'm not gonna say it's better. Is it? I think it's better at level 1. And then the other two are just kind of different, but do the same mechanic, right? So this is a very fun card. I think they changed Vine Lash enough to make it feel unique. So Predatory Attack at level 1, you just get to battle an enemy creature, and if you survive, you get additional health. Now 2 and 3 is where it gets a little different in here. You get to battle a creature. If you survive, you get the health. Then you get to battle another creature. So then cycle 3, you get the health first to help you ensure you survive. You battle a creature. If you survive, you just get more health. Then you get a battle again. Really cool lane clearing mechanism. Let's see how you put this one to use.
yeah, so this is another just fun card. And like you said, yeah, it's different than Vine Lash, but it's another option. And like I said, I don't know if Vine Lash is in set 3, but you're getting a similar ability in set 3, so Utera still has some of that like board control cards available to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I have an Oak Father, and there's a couple different options that I could have played in this scenario, but for this one I clear out one lane. Creature had 6 attacks, so I gain 1 health, and and then I clear out the Oak Father. And then my Oak Father will do damage through and then die because just the way the hit points work out. But basically, that card allowed me to clear out 2 lanes for 1 card. So a good 2-for-1 option there.
Yeah, and that extra health that you got, you're able to clear out the 2 lanes and maintain enough health to stay on the board to push damage and yet clear another lane for the following round of combat.
Yeah, and I will lose the Oak Father in this scenario because I was just right at that threshold. But again,
Mm-hmm.
you know I wasn't taking damage. I'm already down this fight.
Yeah.
So, God just is beating me up real bad here. And so right now I'm just trying to reduce the amount of damage that I'm taking. And so this card's another good way to get board control. And in other scenarios, you could use this card to push multiple damage through, as well as keeping your guy alive because of the plus attack. Like if you're hitting things that, like Dark Art Sorcerers or things that tend to harder to kill because they're defenders or have high health but not necessarily high attack because they have good activates. Could use that.
Yeah, and I like this is just casually in a Loyan predatory attack that they threw in. Like you said, they did an awesome job picking the decks to showcase having a lot of fun with these cards. I'll throw a shout out. I think ML Vanby is running some weeklies that are using these cards as well. So if you haven't had a chance to play the set 3, they're in TTS now. Pull some out, use them, play with them, and then you can also take part in those tournaments and try them out as well. So very cool. So next, Greg, we're gonna just talk quick about. I took part in Tatertot's Qualifier Sealed number 4, and really it's just an iteration of sealed tournaments where they have a different spin on them. This one, I was able to. You and I took part in the first one. We weren't able to take part in the other two due to timing schedules. I was able to take part in this last one, and the spin on it was that every deck would have a soulbind. So what I thought would be fun here, I haven't talked to you at all about my deck before this. Really haven't even talked to you about the tournament. So I thought it'd be a good idea to just throw my deck list at you, the ones that I chose to play in the sealed, and go ahead, run through it, and give it an assessment as if you sat down across the table from it and kind of walk through your turn 0 steps. And when I say turn 0, that's everything before a game. It could be your deck list, choosing how you fuse your deck. But I do think, one of the very critical pieces of turn 0 in this game is when you sit down and you have 1 minute or 2 minutes to look at the opponent's deck and key out those really, those synergistic effects you need to be worried about, their removal or however it is. So walk through this, show us what you find, what you look at, and then as a bonus, if you could, just throw out what you think the MVP of the deck is. And here is the deck list. So as you go through it, I'll highlight cards for folks.
Okay. Yeah. So you got your Nova here and your Sunder, and I've pulled them up onto another screen just so I have a little bit more visibility on them.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I'm looking at is your 2 Forgeborn. Now in a turn 0, I would know which Forgeborn you have, and just doing a quick glance across your stuff here, I think both of them would work, and I think the card that I would be most worried about is dependent upon which Forgeborn you have chosen.
That's fair. So I will tell you, I did choose Sunder, and that was a very hard decision because these are both very good.
Yeah, and I think by choosing Sunder, I would be concerned in the late levels, and again, sealed tends to go longer in a game, right? You don't tend to have as efficient decks. You tend to hit cycle 4 more. So I am worried about the Pack Basher late, with the ability of Sunder doing 2 spell swarms, and if you've worked on that Basher, you're quickly putting a lot of damage into me. So with that would be one of my primary concerns. I think this deck has a lot going for it, or these combination of decks. You have a good selection of warriors. The Toxic Pack Master is another card that I would be very worried about here. You have look like a decent number of warriors in the deck, and when it gets to cycle 3, getting 10 attack is massive. So I don't know if it's just one single card.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Pack Basher, but when you look at the avenues of attack that you have a lot. And part of that relies on the Pack Master boosting your other warriors up. So you have your War Tusk. Again, lower statted because of the roaring, but that can always just go into something else. And the reason why I'm worried about the Pack Master with all these warriors is because it has a Shard King on it. So you have a lane that is now always a problem. Doesn't matter what's in that lane, that's a problem. So if you have that out there with the warrior synergy that you have in the Pack Master, now I have to worry about big warriors doing breakthrough in that lane, and that's hard to stop. So if it's multiple cards, I mean, it's the Cavern at that point. Speaking of Oxidon Rager, not good. Vine last year.
That dude never saw play. I played him one time. Sometimes you have to clear a big threat.
Magniferous Elk. I like the Elk card. I don't know why. I just like the Elk card. I think it's well statted. Magniferous is always a good trait, so that could be a useful card in certain mashups. I could see this being really good. Moving over to the red side here. Disintegrate's always good. The Primal Slam, you have a lot of warriors. Ator, another warrior. So again, kind of going with that. You have a lot of breakthrough, so your Ante Heartseeker is very useful in this, being able to put a lot of damage or a lot of attack onto the creature that's in that lane if you need to, or just the level 3 already kind of does that. So you're a lot of avenues for breakthrough, variant smash fist. I'm not as worried about that one just because it's such a low health creature. Even though it is a warrior, it's probably not getting advantage of it a lot, but dropping that onto the breakthrough lane can still just push a ton of damage through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess that's my analysis. The Packmaster Shard King combo is really nasty with the warriors that you have. Running Sunder, I think that Basher makes a lot of sense as a very just lethal threat in the end game.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your MVP then?
Yeah, so going into it, Pack Basher was huge in my head, and I think he was the secondary big punch. And I actually didn't level him up a ton, but it was always in my head, just like you were saying. If I have one creature on the board, even drop 2 minions, drop Pack Basher, even at level 1 or 2, he gets pretty big and can help me seal out a game. But I think you were all over it with the Warriors. I love seeing Warrior synergies come together. But this Toxic Packmaster did so much work for me. It was bonkers. He allowed me to get just absolutely monstrous, huge people. Ator statted at a 4/6 at level 1 is just unfair. I think, especially when you can drop a Packmaster right next to Ator. Because Ator is probably going to survive whatever hits him in the first round. Toxic Packmaster, if you get his lane ability, so if you put him opposing a creature, he comes in as a 2/8 on cycle 1. Like he's hanging around.
Yeah.
And then with Savage Oath, being able to really beef up warriors, and Primordial Slam, like you named it. There was a turn where I played a level 3 Primordial Slam on my own Packmaster. So I damaged him to get an additional 10 attack and then gain 8 attack off the Primordial Slam to gain 18 attack and seal out a game.
Nice.
It was pretty bonkers, but you nailed it all along the board. It's like the big creatures that inevitably get breakthrough with the Shard Cavern, or I put out the Cloud Rift, which inevitably gets flipped with all these creatures, some of them with breakthrough. And then every time I'm hitting you, I'm dealing creatures damage. It was really, I think, just too much for people to handle. And when I play sealed, I always look for big creatures. That's like my number one priority, and then second's removal, right? So big creatures and removal. This had Disintegrate. Primordial Slam isn't the greatest removal, but it's also helping my warriors, of which I have in the deck. So, really, really cool. One thing that was a nice little combo. So when I was looking at the two Forgeborns, they're both really good. What sealed me into Sunder was that I felt like I didn't have enough removal, and that the deal 4 damage to each enemy creature might be enough to seal out a sealed game by clearing creatures out of lanes when I already have pretty big people. And then that Stimbolt, a free spell at level 1. So sometimes in these games, especially sealed, where the margin of card strength is a lot lower, I feel that sometimes you just need one good turn in cycle 2 to either end or put the writing on the wall of a match. And in a deck with Adept and being able to fling a free spell, sometimes I think that extra creature, that extra spell on top of 2 creatures you've played, or a creature and a spell that you've played that turn, which in this deck is typically, I play 2 creatures. One of them plays a Exalt because it's a Soulbind. That counts as a spell. Yep. Then I flip a free spell and I play a 3rd creature. So that's like 2 spells, 3 creatures. That's a pretty strong turn.
Yeah, it's really nice.
The one other thing, so I was actually considering not playing the red for a Necrium half. But that was what kind of, when I put that little combination together in my head, I was like, okay, I'm going with the Tempest to get that big punch in early cycle 2, hopefully. And then the one last card I would say that was like a really strong, underrated card was Mustic Megatha. And that's because, if you remember, the deal with this sealed tournament was that everyone had a Soulbind.
Oh,
so
okay,
most Soulbinds are dropping Exalts. So I felt every time I saw this in Cycle 1, I played it. I prioritized it over everything essentially except the Packmaster. And what it does is it either makes the opponent not want to play their Exalt, which in my mind is meaning they're probably giving up an optimal play,
Mm-hmm.
or they're just giving me more stats. So
Yeah, and I didn't even think of that. Yeah, with the way the tournament was written, everybody had at least 2 soulbinds in their deck.
yeah, you pulled out the Magnivorous Elk. That was another reason why this was also a pretty good play sometimes, because people were playing Soulbinds. So every time they play a creature, not every time, but sometimes they play a spell.
Yeah.
That was my deck. It did well, and I had a lot of fun with it. So hopefully, you learn something about either how to pick a sealed deck or how to assess a deck at turn 0. So the last thing I wanted to get into, Greg, is we were given another spoiler. It looks like all the content creators across the spectrum are spoiling the Frod's experiment. So here's level 1 of Frod's experiment. And now, by the time our viewers are watching this, they've read the article potentially. They've seen all the other ones. So an overview of this card is that at each level, it's going to gain a new ability, and its stats are going to get adjusted as well. So we're going to end up with this 3 ability creature that's going to kind of get augmented along the way. You get to see it in the art, which is interesting for sure. So here we have Frod's experiment number 2914. And each one of those numbers denotes its ability in some way, shape, or form. I think the first one is stat. The first digit in the number, or the second digit in the number, is its first ability we see here, which is activate, move the opposing creature up to 1 lane. And then that third digit will be the next ability. Fourth digit will be the next ability. So go ahead and talk us through these Cycle 1, 2, and 3 and what your thoughts are.
Okay. Yeah. So looking at it, I think Cycle 1, 4/6. It's solid. You're usually either killing or surviving, and then killing in the next round on any creature that you come across. So I'm okay seeing 4/6 on a stat line. The activate ability, it's interesting that it's activated, not deploy. So a lot of times in Cycle 1, you see these effects tend to be deploy actions. So seeing it activate is nice.
I do think it's worth noting, I believe every Cycle 1 ability these things get is going to be an activate.
Activate. Yeah, I mean, and they are, super, the rarity is going to be higher, especially from what you're talking about. There's a lot of combinations. You could see even these could be really rare. Your combination could be exceedingly rare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to other ones. So I do like seeing the activate, and seeing as you're likely to get at least in most cases, unless you're spending 2 cards or just a direct removal, you can get 2 activations out of this. So whether that's moving something out of the way or in the way. So, you're on Forge first turn, you drop this, you don't kill their creature. Off Forge next turn, you can move their creature out of the way as your last activation and punch damage through if you wanted to. So moving the opposing creature, again, we're seeing more of that lane control or manipulation or blocking lanes, or we see in a lot of the set 3 cards, you can see things like giving things defender or pushing things back, a little bit more of those seem to be popping up, more lane movement. So yep. I think it's good. As we move to the set 2, or not set 2, the Cycle 2, I see you're keeping the activating, the moving. You're gaining stealth now with the wings popping up on there. The stat line, I guess, is decent for a stealth creature.
Yeah, it just popped up. Looks like 1/2 there.
So if it didn't have stealth, I mean, I would imagine it would be higher. 5/8 on Cycle 2 is not
feel too good.
Too good, but it is on a stealth creature
around.
that can clear its lane. So when you, again, same premise in the first one. On Forge, you play it. Off Forge, you got the last cycle, but they're playing things in front of it to block the stealth. You can move it out of the way, and you're punching damage through basically every turn at that point if you can keep it alive. Because next turn you go on Forge, you're playing Off Forge, you're hitting damage. Next turn you're Off Forge, you're moving their creature that moved out of the way back out of the way if you can. So I think there's a lot of potential there, a lot of fun you can do with it.
Yep.
And then we see it move to a 6-11 again. Decent statted for a stealth creature. You don't think you're going to see anything around that. You're still getting the ability to possibly hit almost every turn if you can keep it alive. And now that you're being able to keep it alive off Forge and on Forge because of its activate ability, now you're doing additional damage to the player. So now it's really 9 damage when you do this.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see all the other variants come out so we can kind of figure out exactly all the pieces of the puzzle, if you will, and the way that they can be shaped together. From my understanding, I think Breakthrough is a possibility that we know. Stealth is a possibility that we know. We don't know the other keyword. I'm kind of surmising maybe Defender. We'll see. The activates, I've only seen the move. I've seen 2. Move the opposing creature up to 1 lane. And then I've seen the one in the article is activate, deal 2 damage to the opponent, and then gain 2 health. And if you add that with this, if this deals damage to an enemy player, so that's deal 5 damage to the enemy player, you gain 2 health. We know that proccing health gain is pretty nice. Even if it's just 1, just any instance of life gain proccing is pretty valuable. I really think the Stealth and Defender, if it is Defender, are really going to be the valuable ones, because these to me look like very good utility kind of cards, and that could change with the variants. I do love this activate, move opposing creature up to 1 lane. Like, honestly, I would not be sad to see that ability on a level 1 card ever as a deploy. And now you have it as an activate.
Mm-hmm.
This is a card I might not play all game. But when cycle 3, turn 2 comes around and I have a 34 attack Glowhive Siren, or whatever it is, and I'm off Forge, I'll just drop this thing and slide your guy out of the way, and that's game over. So.
Well, it's only the opposing creature, so it has to be the one opposing it.
Good catch.
That's why I really like this combo with stealth and the activate and then the dealing damage, because essentially if you can keep it alive outside of combat, and you can keep one of the lanes open, right? So you're placing this in the middle lane, so you have, or you're never placing this on the side, right? It's one of the 3 middle lanes. As long as you can keep one of those open,
opponent has to sandwich it, or they have to have an aggressive creature off Forge. Only chance to hit it.
Yeah, off Forge aggressive creature will work, but otherwise, this thing is hitting home every turn.
Yeah.
Outside of that, and with the extra damage every time you go home, that makes the normal stealth line of 6 attack at level 3, but at 9, I mean,
yeah, that is it's key. Hey, note to self: words matter, and so the opposing creature, that is pretty big. So that's a very good point that you're bringing up. And yeah, this thing could just keep hitting through. I like it. I think it's a very interesting thing. I love the spin they did with the amount of combinations that you can have. I'm already thinking of my favorite 4-digit numbers to try to collect the ones I want, right? So just don't tell everyone that your favorite 4-digit number is also your bank pin when you're trying to trade for these things. But very, very cool card. I think that's all we've got here for today. Just a quick throwdown. If you were able to take part in the Set 3 tournament and you played some cards that you thought were really fun that you'd love to see us highlight or talk about, put it in the comments below. Or if there's any just Set 3 cards that you've seen spoiled and you're super excited about, we would love to talk about any of them as well. Drop that in the comments below, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for attending this lesson of the Forgeborn Finishing School. If you liked this video, please subscribe, comment, or consider donating to our Patreon account. We look forward to our next lesson.